There's many people that would agree with me that there's some potentially dark times coming for this country in our not too distant future. But I think we would disagree on the reason for this. Let me explain. The message that is being sent to future bad actors by many Americans today. We have seen that you can go and speak at a white supremacist event, don't get a lot of pushback from the leaders of the party that you represent. But then when you do get pushback from a certain side of the media, you can simply say, well, oh, I didn't know and I didn't realize and I just got an invitation. And, you can just come up with the lamest excuses. And the voters that share your supposed ideology, right? Because there's so much fake in this country, you can't assume that the ideology that a politician presents is actually their beliefs, because we know for a fact that they will pretend to embrace whatever ideology they need to get the votes in power. Case in point, liberal elite Donald Trump, liberal elite Democrat Donald Trump, the biggest rhino of it all, the guy who was literally a Democrat, literally a liberal from New York, a coastal elite, a literal coastal elite, changed his party affiliation, adopted this conservative act. And because he said what certain people want to hear, they fell for it. The message that's being transmitted now is, I could, as a politician, as a charismatic politician, that panders heavily to the ideology of a certain part of the population, keep my ear to the ground, listen to what they're saying in social media, in particular the most rabid of a particular group, the people who are most emotional, most aggressive. These are the ones who will walk over glass to vote for you, right? If you speak their language, listen to what they're saying and say back the same stuff. If they're talking about the Green New Deal is the Chinese in cahoots with the U.S. government to blah blah blah, like that's what a certain very very aggressive and angry group is saying. If it's too crazy, you sort of water it down and you say a version of what they're saying that speaks to them, like they know what you're talking about, but other people will kind of be not really sure. And then it can be laundered by partisan media, right? Partisan media that's targeting the same people that you're targeting for manipulation. They want to get clicks and views from them. They will protect you, right? So you water down some talking points that are maybe a little bit difficult for a lot of people to appreciate and therefore risky to you. But you say enough that these crazy extremists, like, they will recognize and like, he's the guy. Why do you do this? Because that's the way you can get away with not really having solid policies and not really being a serious actor in terms of trying to better the country, right? If you can focus on this group of people who will mobilize for you, they will do protests, they will do, rallies, whatever it is. They will get out in numbers. They will go out there and knock on doors. They're very, very aggressive, while the rest of the population is just sort of like depressed and kind of like, what difference does it make if I vote? Like, my vote doesn't matter. We don't have a democracy. Listen to the bullshitters like the Young Turks saying we don't have a democracy. So like, well, what's the point, right? While they're all depressed and hanging their heads down, right? Not turning out for the other side. And while the more reasonable people that are closest to the ideology that you're pretending to have, while they're looking at you and they're just kind of like, I don't know, some of them come out, some of them don't. You can have a group of people that will show up no matter what. They will walk over broken glass to come and vote for you. That is why you pander to them, because that is an efficient way to get a very, very sort of energized base of people that will come out for you, that will promote you, that will, on social media, they'll put out stuff and they will recruit and grow numbers. So you can get a very energized base without actually having real substance, right? That is why you look for the most radical groups, most aggressive groups, and you listen to the language, what they're talking about, right? They're talking about flat earth, whatever it is, right? Flat earth is toxic to say to the masses. Then you just say something like,
we're gonna have government transparency, and if I'm president, we're gonna look into the moon landing because some of that stuff doesn't really make sense. We need to know the American people need to know the truth about what happened during the moon landing. We're not saying we're not trying. And then, are you trying to say that the moon landing didn't happen? Who said that? I never said that. I never said a thing like that. That's how you guys, fake media, you manipulate and you twist things. All I said is we need to know what happened. We need to know how the tapes got lost, and we need to figure out what really happened because the American people deserve to know the truth, right? But you guys don't want the truth to come out. That's why you're attacking me. But I'm not going to stop, right? There's some bullshit like that, right? What I've seen is I could, as a charismatic leader that speaks the virtue signals, right, to the most aggressive parts of the population, whether it's on the left or the right, right? I can do things like go to the wedding, think about the most vile person in this country to you, right? Whoever you feel is the most vile person, most evil, most disgusting, most hateful person you can think of. What I'm seeing right now is showing to me that I could literally go to the wedding of that person, right? And then when the media tries to call me out, like, why would you go to the wedding? Why would you associate with this person? I can simply say, so if the bad person is the bride, I can say I went there for the groom, right? I went there for the groom. The groom invited me. This is somebody, whatever. Like, I don't know about the bride. People are saying different things about the bride, this and that. I don't know anything about that, right? But the groom invited me. I went there. There were a lot of people at the wedding. I didn't know everybody there, right? I didn't know everybody there. Have you ever been to a wedding? Did you know everybody at the wedding? You don't think that maybe somebody at the weddings that you've been to might be somebody that a lot of people don't like, right? Where do you think people that a lot of people don't like, you think they just live in a hole? They're out there. They go to weddings. They go to work. They have jobs. Some of them anyway, right? And for people that share the ideology that I pretend to have in my quest for power, they will accept these lame excuses. They'll either pretend not to hear, they won't engage, or they will repeat whatever nonsense I say, and they'll even make up stuff. So even if I don't come up with an excuse for why I went to the wedding of such a disgusting person, they will make stuff up. When confronted by people that want to challenge them, these are followers of me, right? They will come up with stuff and say, well, you don't know that he knew about people, or it's a wedding. It could have been like a family thing, and I'm sure you have bad people in your family, right? And he never said anything positive about that person. He never endorsed that person. Just because they're at the wedding that he's at, that doesn't, right? They will make up whatever, and whatever sticks the best or they feel is the best argument, they will amplify it among themselves. That'll become the common, rebuttal. The lesson that I've learned is if I pander hard enough to the ideology of some of the most radical and just aggressive and emotional people in this population, and if I can do that to multiple groups, so I can have a large number of people supporting me, right? So I have, let's say I do from a left-wing perspective, I have the people who want to abolish prisons, right? So I virtue signal to them, and I get them like, oh, this guy, he's going to do it. He's going to abolish prisons, right? And they're this is a very, very aggressive group, right? And they'll campaign for me, and they'll spread the message on their content, social media, right? And then I find another group. Maybe there's a group that says, we want to abolish the police. And maybe these are not necessarily the same groups. I virtue signal to that group, right? And if I can put out enough of these signals that can captivate enough of these groups that are very, very energized, and then seeing the way the things go in this country with elections, people vote for things that they don't really get. A lot of normal people won't show up, right? But I can get people who will show up because they're very, very extreme and motivated and emotional. And I can keep feeding them a certain narrative and making them feel like, yeah, we're going to abolish, we're going to kill all these prisons, right? And then when I get elected, I don't have to actually do any of this stuff. I can go through the motions like as if I'm doing it, but don't actually do it. And as long as I keep pandering to them and keep feeding them the stuff they like, they'll let me get away with it, not delivering on what I promised, right? I can even sort of do something that sort of is like something versus nothing, and then I can frame it as if I actually delivered what I said. I said we're gonna shut down these prisons, and we whatever it is. I just basically say that I've done it. We're shutting down these prisons. I promise made, promise delivered. So even me not doing what I said I was going to do, I can simply frame it that I did do it and keep saying it over and over again. And again, any partisan media that shares my ideology that wants to monetize the people that I am, targeting, they will defend me and they will repeat the same stuff and say, yeah, yeah, you boys, she's getting the prison shut down, even though I'm not doing any of that stuff. And then meanwhile, in the background, I'm doing the stuff that I'm really focused on, right? The whole purpose was my own self-interest, my own power, right? Hooking up my friends, the elites. So behind the scenes, I'm doing things a lot of people don't even realize. Mainstream media or a side of the mainstream media may go after me, but they're part of this elite class as well. So don't think that they're necessarily going to reveal everything that I'm doing. They'll talk about whatever they think will get them the most clicks and therefore money, right? But never think that these mainstream media folks are on your side. Definitely don't think that independent media is on your side, most of it anyway. Um, so the thing that I'm most concerned about, and one of the things I'm most concerned about for our future, is that this generation has sent a message that our population in this country is ripe for manipulation, brainwashing, and control. We see the formula that works. You can do these things, you can get away with it. Um, and there's a large part of the population that will never see the light. It's just like scam. The hardest thing is to convince a scam victim that they've been scammed, right? You can show them all the evidence or whatever, and they're like, well, this and that. Okay, well, what about those other companies that you think are legit? They're doing the same thing, aren't they? This is a pyramid scheme? Well, corporations are a pyramid scheme, right? The guy at the top gets all the money, and right? The thing that I'm most concerned about is that charisma combined with ideological pandering, mirroring, if you will, in terms of you're hearing what they're saying and you're repeating it back to them, make them feel like you're one of them. I'm not a politician, I'm an outsider. All right, and you say the stuff that regular people are saying to make it sound like you're a regular person, even though you're an elite. You're very overtly and obviously an elite, but you talk the language that people on the ground level are saying, right? So the charisma, the ideological pandering, and then you combine that with the power of social media, the machine that is plugged into the brains of Americans. Right? A lot of Americans who are very political, a lot of the stuff they're saying, it's not even their own thoughts. This stuff is projected down to them from the social media they consume. They don't even realize it, right? They're hearing these ideas. They don't have a respect for how vulnerable we are as humans. Right? We see faces in the clouds, right? We are very easy to manipulate, and they don't have the humility to recognize this. So they're sitting here consuming this stuff, putting ideas in their head, shaping how they perceive the world. And then they're regurgitating these ideas that are being fed to them, right, without interrogating them or looking into them or trying to understand them. And then they're in a social circle that's also consuming the same kind of media. So it's being reinforced. Everyone around them is saying the same thing, like, oh, we believe there's too many trees in this country, too many trees, right? And your friends are coming, yeah, that's the same thing I was saying the other day. Yeah, you're saying the same thing because you guys are watching the same media that's feeding you the same ideas, distracting you, playing with you, right? Whatever it is, whatever button they can push and get the most reaction from you, that's going to get them the most money, so they're going to do it. Talking about we have too many trees seems to be the thing. Everyone seems to be getting on board and they're getting like angry. Trees, right? And I'm going to keep talking about trees. Yeah, trees, we got to stop the trees. And now you're saying it. Your friends are saying it. Everybody around you saying it. And now you think it's your idea, right? You'll argue, no, but look at all of it. And the talking points you're using are not even your own. They're coming from social media. So you use the brainwashing machine, social media, combined with charisma, combined with ideological pandering, and you can basically get away with murder. You can do the most insane thing, so insane that eventually a lot of people that supported you may call you out in that moment and claim that they want to be rid of you because you're just too much. But ultimately, given the opportunity to vote for you again, they will. The same people who say that you're too crazy, whatever, finally, you went too far. If you follow the formula that I illustrated in this video, those same people will support you once again. I think a key factor that I missed was the demonizing of the other. If you're on the left, demonize the right like they're evil, they're Satan. If you're on the right, do the same thing to the left. If you do that effectively, you can do no harm, right? Because as bad as you may be, as long as your audience is more afraid of the other, they will support you. At the end of the day, even after they call you out and this, you went too far. When election day comes, and they got a choice between the other that you've spent so much time effectively demonizing versus you, they will choose you, right? So, armed with this information and this reality of America today, what will a future bad actor be able to do to this country? People talk about the right to bear arms is to defend against tyranny, but 100% it has been demonstrated. I've said this before. When tyranny comes, those guns will be used to defend tyranny, not to defend against. It is impossible for you to defend against tyranny if you're incapable of even recognizing it when you see it. This is Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Wake up call for America.